Hi, my name is Anthony, and I'm doing my video on my reaction to the body ritual among the Nicarium. It's just American backwards, but I'm not really sure how to say it. But the first part, I'm going to just do my reflection of the article. And I think after reading the whole thing, it really gives us an outside perspective on our own culture. Because, like, living in America or like living in the United States is just like you think you're the like we think we're the best, like the USA is the best country, best at this, best at that, like best at everything, like freedom, all of that. But like the way they look at it is a lot different. Even though this article is based like a long time ago, it's still like we've always depicted like us as the greater country. We're just higher up than everyone else. And the one interesting thing that they said especially was about our doctors and what our therapists are like. They kind of talk about them like they're these like evil, like free, like people like causing problems. But in reality, especially nowadays, therapists are like people use them a lot and really useful. They think of them as like this like evil kind of person that like is in the shadows, like and exercises these demons and like stuff that people like don't really believe in as much now. But back then it kind of makes sense. But priests were more like the thing that would be exercising demons from our heads and like helping us all that like therapists are just kind of people to talk to. But the thing that they said about hospitals was kind of true with like it's like they're sick just to make money, like you're there and they want to keep you there to make money. Like the hospital needs to make money and like you're not like really certain with your condition when you are walking out the doors. Like you're just kind of like, oh, I hope I'm better, but if I have to come back, like the hospital doesn't care if you come back personally. Like they just like they come back, like we charge the insurance, which charges you, which gets them more money. And like they just kind of they're talking how like they think our doctor system is like just there to make money, which is partially true, but also like there's a lot of benefits of having hospitals handy. And then one thing that was kind of weird to me personally was how they said we didn't like take care of our children. Like how women were just kind of like they did nothing. But especially like an article that was written in the 50s, I feel like it's kind of the opposite. Like back then there was a lot more stay-at-home moms, like the women didn't work as much and they were really like generalized around like housework and like family work, like keeping the household together and helping the children in the family. So I feel like that part wasn't really that one was a little far fetched. So they talked about like wet nurses and stuff like that, but I feel like that's more like I don't know. When I think of that, I think of like Europe and like like the Queen and all that stuff. I don't really think of that as America. And then the next part I'm going to talk about is the communication pattern ritual event connected to the U.S. Something in our population now, especially like us college kids, would be tattoos is just the easy one to do because like tattoos have changed a lot over time. Like now it seems to be like if you don't have a tattoo, it's almost weird that you don't have a tattoo. Like people have so many tattoos are like, I'm getting a tattoo, like I'm gonna get a tattoo. But back then it was kind of like frowned upon. You kind of were weird. And like I think the only real people that had tattoos were like Native Americans and stuff like the Samoas, like they have their tribal tattoos and like they still people still do that now, but now I feel like more people just kind of do it like for a symbol or like for family member or something like what the meaning is to you and not like for your tribe, which is what like tattoos were originally for. And it's kind of changed over time. Now tattoos are kind of like in and not as much as frowned upon because like throughout history, like in the early 1900s, like tattoos were just like unheard of. Like you wouldn't really get stuff like that unless you were like people would like look at you weird or like make fun of you. Like I don't know, like you never really think of tattoos like that back then and like how it progressed over time. Like when we went into war, the first like the Korean War, like my grandpa who's passed away now had a lot of tattoos like from the Navy, like nautical tattoos and like just random stuff like that, which is like that was more of the tattoos that kind of kicked it off because my dad had told me about my grandpa that like when you get it, he was getting those tattoos because like he legitimately thought he was gonna die in the war, so he was just like, I might as well get something to remember before I die, like to look at or something. But he never did. So then like a lot of people would be coming back with tattoos, and like it was kind of weird. But then people started to ease up to it. In like the '60s, '70s era, like that was like Vietnam War, and when like people were like not they did not like that war, and like the whole peace sign thing became a big part of like the culture, and that was like the main like people were getting tattoos of this peace sign and like keep the peace, hold the peace, like we'd have these big gatherings and like things like that, and like people would get tattoos, and now coming in like the millennial era to like Gen Z era people, like tattoos seem to be like the big thing. Like people want tattoos. Like, yo, how cool would it look if I got like my whole sleeve tatted or like my leg tattooed? Like, I have a friend's dad who just recently got a tattoo, and he was like, I never thought I'd get a tattoo in my life. Like, it's a changed world completely from what it was back then when it comes to like tattoos and like even piercings too. Like, I feel like piercings have changed a lot. Like, not a lot of people used to have piercings except for again like tribes would have piercings like that, and now it's also completely different. Like, changed, like piercings aren't as like frowned upon. Like, I feel like a lot of people now have like a nose piercing. Like a lot of guys have ears pierced, and then the final step, which is the evaluation of these changes. Um, it's like as a Christian now, you think of like the body's not supposed to change. Like my dad, he's really faithful and like he stands by this. Like he doesn't want us getting tattoos like any of his kids. I mean, we do because like, it's so changed because we talk to him and like, the world's changing. Like it's not what it used to be and how tattoos were looked on back then. So like he's eased up to, but like he's really faithful. Like Christians don't like they don't really like change that much. I would say like the Christian faith, like they don't think this is a good change. Like there's one Bible verse that my dad used to say all the time. It's like Leviticus, and it talks about you shall not make any cuts on your body for the dead, nor make any tattoo marks on yourself. I am the Lord, which is basically like saying how like God made this body how it is, and like you shouldn't have to change it because it's like not saying like it's perfect, but it's like God created this body how it is now, and it's not like you don't need to change it, you don't need to affect it, and like, but at the same time, like I feel like some people need that. Like it's beneficial to people who need to express themselves through like a tattoo, like showing people it's like this is who I am type of thing, like what you like, what kind of like brands, music, like how you are to society, like it's kind of how it like separates you, like you want to show who you really are, like with a tattoo or with like some sort of piercing or something that shows like this is who I am. Like I feel like nowadays it's a lot different to show who you really are than it was back then. It was kind of like, like you were this, like the husband went to work, the wife stayed at home. Like it was the same thing like for so long, and like now the world is like completely changing now. Like and it's kind of more about yourself and not like some people don't want to have a family. Like it's things were edged in stone, like you had to do them a certain way, and now we're changing up completely. And I think we should start making tattoos a normal thing at this point. Like my brother has so many tattoos, like I have some tattoos, and I just think like it's an easy thing that doesn't need to be frowned upon, and it should be looking uplifting as like we're expressing ourselves on who we are and like who we want to be.